Ever wonder about, like, wisdom we could gain um, from, like, unexpected places?
Oh, yeah.
Like, how did Jesus,
Mm,
like, yes, that Jesus,
right.
handle tough situations
Yeah.
as a young man, way before the whole miracle worker phase?
Yeah.
Today, we're diving into
Oh.
his early life and ministry,
All right. Yeah.
focusing on, like, specific moments where his wisdom shines through.
Yeah.
We've got excerpts from a text that gives a unique perspective
Okay.
on his journey from childhood to early adulthood.
Cool.
Think Passover, family drama,
Mm,
and even a bit of teen rebellion.
right.
It's not the Jesus you see on stained glass windows, that's for sure.
What's fascinating is how these early experiences,
Right.
often overshadowed by his later ministry, actually reveal a lot about his character and how he approached challenges.
Okay.
It's a side of Jesus we don't often explore,
Yeah.
but it's full of valuable insights.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Right.
Stop a 12-year-old Jesus going to Jerusalem for
Yeah.
Passover.
Hmm.
That's going to be a huge EE deal for a kid, right?
Imagine it, Passover in Jerusalem, the biggest event of the year for Jewish families.
No.
And for Jesus, who'd grown up hearing stories about the temple,
Yeah.
it's like a dream come true.
Yeah.
The sources even mention that it was unusual for women to go on this pilgrimage.
Mm.
But Jesus insisted his mother come along.
Wow.
Even as a boy, he's showing that deep sense of family and
Yeah.
respect for his mother.
So he gets to the temple,
Yeah.
this holy place he's built up in his mind.
Mm.
And then what?
Well, he's hit with a major reality check. Instead of finding reverence and spiritual connection,
Right.
he sees rampant commercialism,
Oh.
money changers, vendors hawking sacrificial animals.
Yeah.
The whole place is a noisy marketplace, a
Yeah.
far cry from the sacred space he imagined.
Talk about bursting a kid's bubble.
Yeah.
That must have been a huge disappointment. But why is this important?
Yeah.
It's not like he stormed out and started preaching against moneylenders right then, did he?
This is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Think about it. A 12-year-old having his deeply held beliefs challenged
Yeah.
by the messy reality of human behavior.
Uh-huh.
It's a pivotal moment
Okay.
that likely shaped his later teachings
Yeah.
about true worship versus empty ritual.
Right. Yeah.
He saw firsthand how religious institutions
Right.
could lose sight of their spiritual core,
Yeah.
something he would address directly in his ministry later on.
Okay. I'm seeing the connection now. It's like this experience planted a seed
Yeah.
that would grow into his core message.
Right.
But from childhood disillusionment, we jump right into
Yeah.
teen rebellion.
Right. After Passover, Jesus pulls a move.
Yeah.
That probably made his parents age a few years.
I bet.
He stays behind at the temple
Without telling them.
for 3 days.
Oh.
My gosh.
He basically ditched his family to debate theology with scholars.
Wait, seriously.
Yeah.
A 12-year-old
Uh-huh.
going head to head
Yeah.
with seasoned religious experts. What were they even talking about?
The sources mention he asked some pretty intense questions,
Like what?
like whether it was right to execute a Gentile
Oh, wow.
who accidentally wandered into the wrong part of the temple.
Intense.
He was already challenging the rigidity of the system,
Wow.
questioning those in authority.
Yeah.
This is a recurring theme in his life,
Okay.
standing up for what he believes is right,
Yeah.
even when it's uncomfortable.
Wow, that takes guts. I can't even imagine talking back to my teachers like that,
No.
let alone religious scholars.
Right.
So his parents finally find him.
Hmm.
What happens then?
Let's just say Mary was not happy.
Oh, no.
The text describes her publicly scolding him,
Oh, my God.
which in that culture was a big deal.
Yeah.
Imagine the scene.
All those scholars
Yeah.
watching a 12-year-old get chewed out by his mom.
Oh, man, just talk about awkward.
Right.
So how does young Jesus handle this public shaming?
Mm.
Does he double down on the rebellion?
He actually does the opposite.
What?
He calms everyone down,
Really?
goes home with his parents,
Okay.
and reassures them he'll still honor his earthly father.
Yeah.
But it's clear he's wrestling with these competing forces.
Right.
Family duty,
Yeah.
societal expectations, and his own emerging sense of a higher calling.
That's a lot for a teenager to process.
Yeah.
It's like he's figuring out who he is and what he's meant to do,
Uh-huh.
all while dealing with family drama
Hmm.
and the weight of tradition.
Right.
But didn't things get even tougher for him after that?
They did. Tragedy strikes when Joseph, his father, dies.
Oh, wow.
Jesus is only 14
14.
when he becomes the sole provider for his family.
Gosh.
This often overlooked detail grounds his story in a way that's really powerful.
This really changes things.
Right.
It's not just theological debates anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's real-life responsibility.
Yeah,
Imagine having that on your shoulders at 14.
I know.
It makes his later teachings about compassion and resilience
Yeah,
even more impactful.
exactly. It shows us that Jesus wasn't some otherworldly figure
Right.
detached from human struggles.
Yeah.
He faced very real problems very early on.
Right.
This period of his life helps us understand
Oh.
the man behind the message.
Okay, my mind is blown.
Yeah.
A rebellious teenager,
Mm.
challenging authority,
Right.
dealing with loss,
Mm.
and becoming the head of the family at 14.
Uh-huh.
This is not the Sunday school version of Jesus.
Right.
Where do we go from here?
Well, things get even more complicated when the pressure to join a political movement starts to mount.
Oh, really?
Remember the Zealots. The Zealots, a Jewish nationalist group, were gaining momentum.
Yeah.
They wanted to overthrow Roman rule,
Right.
and they saw Jesus as a potential leader for their cause. Imagine the pressure.
Okay, yeah.
Your own family and community urging you to join a rebellion.
So does he become a revolutionary?
Mm-hmm.
Did he embrace this chance to lead a political movement?
He doesn't.
Really?
It's a fascinating decision.
Yeah.
Considering the intense patriotism of the time,
Right.
publicly, he gives a clever speech,
Okay.
emphasizing his family obligations,
Wow.
which was a smart move to appease those pushing him towards rebellion.
Yeah.
But what's really interesting is what he does behind the scenes.
Okay, now you've got me hooked. What's going on behind the scenes? Secret meetings, coded messages.
Think long-term strategy.
Okay.
The sources suggest he was secretly ensuring his family's financial security,
Oh, wow.
setting things up so he could eventually leave and pursue his true calling. He's not just reacting to the situation, he's planning for the future, prioritizing his mission while also taking care of his responsibilities.
Wow, that takes serious foresight and maturity,
Yeah.
especially for someone in their late teens or early 20s.
I know.
It's like he's playing 4D chess while everyone else is still figuring out checkers.
Right.
But if he was so committed to his mission,
Yeah.
why all the secrecy?
This is where we see another layer of his wisdom.
Okay.
He understands that fame and recognition can distract from the purity of a message. It's almost like he's deliberately obscuring his past.
So he's not interested in becoming a celebrity
Right.
or building a personality cult around himself.
Exactly.
He wants the focus to be on the message, not the messenger. That's a powerful concept,
It is.
especially in today's world,
Yeah.
where we're so obsessed with influencers and personal branding.
It's a strategy that's incredibly relevant even now.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah.
How often do we get caught up in WHO is saying something
Right.
rather than what is being said? Jesus seems to understand the danger of conflating the message with the messenger.
Right.
And he's actively trying to avoid that trap.
Okay, this is making me rethink a lot of things.
Yeah.
But give me some concrete examples.
Okay.
How does he actually turn down opportunities for fame and leadership?
There are multiple instances
Okay.
where he's offered prestigious positions,
Yeah.
resources, platforms to spread his teachings,
Right.
but each time he declines. And what's fascinating is that he uses a different name and gives a different reason each time.
Oh, wow.
Almost like he's intentionally trying to make it difficult for people to connect the dots
Oh, wow.
and create a narrative around him.
It's like he's saying, pay attention to what I'm teaching, not who I am.
Exactly.
But wouldn't that have made it harder to gain followers and build a movement?
That's the paradox. By not focusing on building a personal brand
Yeah.
or seeking external validation,
Right.
he's actually ensuring that the message itself is what resonates and spreads. Wow. He's planting seeds, not building walls around himself. Okay. It's a subtle but powerful approach.
This is blowing my mind. We're seeing a Jesus who is strategic,
Yeah.
thoughtful, and deeply committed to his mission,
Right.
but in a way that's completely different from what we usually imagine.
Right.
It makes his story even more compelling.
And it challenges us to think about how we approach our own lives.
Yeah.
Are we so focused on building our own platform
Right.
that we lose sight of the message we want to share?
Yeah.
It's a question worth pondering.
Absolutely. This deep dive is making me question a lot of assumptions. So where do we go from here?
Hmm.
What happens as Jesus gets closer to starting his public ministry?
This is where he starts to directly engage with the power structures of his time,
Okay.
and things get even more intense. Remember those challenges we were talking about in Jesus' early life?
Oh yeah, the family drama, the political pressure, having to become the head of the household at 14. It's like his life was a training ground for dealing with difficult situations.
Exactly. And now imagine adding the Pharisees and the Roman authorities to the mix.
Okay, that's a whole new level of intensity. Those were the big power players of the time, right? What were those relationships like before Jesus became a well-known figure?
Think about the context. This is Judea under Roman occupation. The Pharisees, who were very strict in their interpretation of Jewish law, held a lot of religious authority. And then you have the Romans, who are all about maintaining control and squashing any potential uprisings. It was a tense and volatile environment.
So Jesus, even before he starts his public ministry, is already walking a tightrope. He can't afford to provoke either the Pharisees or the Romans if he wants to get his message out.
He's navigating a minefield for sure, and that's where his strategic thinking and communication skills really come into play. He has to figure out how to connect with the common people without directly challenging those in power, at least not yet.
It's like he's playing the long game, laying the groundwork, building relationships, and choosing his battles carefully. He's not going to start a revolution before he's ready.
It's a brilliant strategy, really. He's observing, learning, and adapting his approach based on the situation. He's not letting dogma or ideology dictate his actions. He's responding with wisdom and discernment to the complexities of the world around him.
Do we have any specific examples of how he interacted with the Pharisees or the Romans during this period?
The sources are a bit sparse on direct interactions, but we do see him engaging with different groups that offer clues about his approach. For instance, he spent time with the Essenes, a Jewish sect known for their strict adherence to ritual purity and their apocalyptic beliefs.
The Essenes, okay, I vaguely remember them from history class. Weren't they kind of like the extreme purists of their time?
Exactly. They believed in withdrawing from mainstream society to prepare for the end of the world. Jesus seemed to respect their commitment to spiritual discipline, but he didn't share their worldview. He didn't try to convert them or engage in theological debates. He observed, learned, and moved on.
It's like he's extracting valuable insights from every encounter, even if he doesn't agree with everything. It shows a real openness and willingness to learn from different perspectives.
It's a key characteristic of wisdom, the ability to learn and grow from a wide range of sources, even those that challenge your existing beliefs. And it's something we can all strive for in our own lives.
This is making me rethink my definition of wisdom. It's not just about having all the answers. It's about being open to learning, adapting, and finding the most effective way to navigate complex situations. It's about understanding the nuances of human behavior and responding with compassion and strategic intelligence.
And those are qualities that Jesus clearly embodied, even in his early life. He was constantly learning, refining his approach, and preparing himself for the challenges that lay ahead.
Okay, so he's interacting with different groups, observing the political landscape, and generally staying under the radar. But what about his own spiritual development? How was he preparing for the public ministry that was to come?
This is where we see him diving deep into the scriptures, not just reading them, but wrestling with their meaning, exploring different interpretations, and engaging in philosophical discussions with learned individuals. He was honing his skills in logic and reasoning, arming himself with knowledge, and preparing to articulate his message in a way that would resonate with diverse audiences.
So it wasn't just about spiritual inspiration. It was about intellectual rigor and preparation as well. He was anticipating the arguments, the challenges, and getting ready to respond with both wisdom and clarity.
He understood that to change hearts and minds, he needed to speak the language of his audience, whether it was the common people, the religious scholars, or even the Roman authorities. He was becoming a master communicator, a skilled debater, and a strategic thinker.
This deep dive has been a real eye-opener. It's not just about learning historical facts, it's about gaining insights into the nature of leadership, the power of strategic thinking, and the importance of preparing ourselves for the challenges we will inevitably face in our own lives.
It's about seeing Jesus in a new light, not just as a divine figure, but as a human being who faced real challenges, made difficult choices, and developed the wisdom and resilience to navigate a complex and often hostile world.
And it leaves us with a powerful question to ponder. How can we apply these lessons from Jesus' early life to our own journeys? How can we cultivate wisdom, resilience, and strategic thinking in the face of our own personal and professional challenges? What stands out to you about Jesus' early life? We'd love to hear your thoughts.